There is, best there was, and the best there ever will be. And you're listening to the Smacked Raw podcast.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to The Rewind. That show brought to you by Smacked Raw, where RN and I run down the latest happenings in and outside the wrestling ring. We're your hosts. I'm Kyle Tyson.
I am the hottest, the smartest, the baddest. My team is better than Will's team. What else? Just all in out, right now, I'm the number one person here on this brand and this channel right now, and it's definitely this show. So, Mr. 8984, holla at your boy.
Ever the humble man, my co-host RN is. What's going on? We got from Bot Spots and Chair Shots. Will's here too. What's up, Will?
I'm going to tell you this right now. The Tennessee Titans might be dog water, but the Tennessee Volunteers, how about the Volunteers? There's at least one good football team in the state of Tennessee right now.
I love y'all's quarterback.
Yeah, we're showing out. We've got Florida coming. We got Akron next week, and then Florida after that. So then we'll see how we
can bet
look.
on that one too, because that's my team in college, Florida. So,
Will, glad you guys are here. So you guys got this football rivalry going on I wasn't aware of?
no, it wasn't a rivalry. Our teams played to kick the season off. So,
Yeah,
actually, our college teams are kind of rivals, but not really.
they used to be back when
they used to
UT was real good,
Right.
but now we're not.
Well,
All right,
Florida's
yeah.
not that good either, so we're straight.
Yeah, the football season just started, but I work on Sundays, so I always have it on, but I can't pay attention to nothing.
No, I'm sure you're probably fucking swamped too.
Yeah, retail. We get the second that new iPhone is announced, it's just balls to the wall at my store until you get past Christmas. But I did get to see the ass end of the Panthers game where they lost it with a minute left in the game.
I don't mean to cut you off, boss, but Nikita Lyons' titties right now are offensive.
Really?
Come here, look at this. Come look at this. Taylor, come look at this. Tell me I'm lying.
Hold on, I'm throwing NXT on right now.
Bro, it's yeah.
Oh, fucking Jess got our DVR set to record. It's on The Bachelorette. Hold on.
It's too late.
Oh, I'm seeing them. Good God.
All right. Yeah.
I got
It's the
just
outfit too.
the ass end of that. Will, did you catch that?
Nope.
Also, what the hell did they do to the grizzled young veterans?
I don't know.
They
We'll
turned
get
them
it.
in. Yeah,
I'll say we'll get into it here in a second, man. Let me act like we're doing a show for a second.
Oh, I
before
forgot. Yeah, let's go.
We all
Let's
just
get
got
to the show.
fucking hypnotized here on stream. You guys, we shoot this show typically live on Sundays. We're live on Tuesday now because I got my ass beat over the weekend between judo and hosting a game night at my house, which congrats to Diamond for winning. She took home that extra Moxley poster that I had. She won game night. Normally, you can find this show live on Sunday evenings, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, twitch.tv/SmackedRaw. All the replays go up on youtube.com/SmackedRaw podcast. And, of course, the audio version is found everywhere. Really quick, I want to give a special shout-out. I meant to do this on the last show. To our latest patron, because, believe it or not, we still have that Patreon going. And to my shock, Miss Desiree Trogdon subscribed to the now defunct Bammer Slammer tier. But thank you, Desiree, for joining our Patreon and helping support the show. If you guys want to help us out, head on over to patreon.com/SmackDrawPodcast. Hit us up with a submission. I'll throw you out a sticker pack and a bunch of other goodies. Me and Allison are gonna revamp the thing. And don't worry, if you sign up and you find that we change the tier up and offer different rewards, we'll still honor those too. So patreon.com/SmackedRawPodcast.
Remind me, I need to send you some MJB stickers as well to throw in there.
I remind you almost every week.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, and then oh shit, what was that last thing I was gonna mention? Oh, tonight's show. Yeah, why not? Let's talk about it. So tonight's show, what we got lined up is we're going to talk about 10 wrestlers / tag teams that may have been rumored to sign with AEW, but for one reason or another never did sign or join the company. Doesn't necessarily mean like they were offered contracts. This is just more where speculation ran rampant online, and they did not wind up in Tony Khan's playground for one reason or the other. We're going to take a look back WWE in review. Since SummerSlam, Triple H has taken over head of creative. We're just going to go ahead and kind of just observe some of the things that we've witnessed in WWE and kind of weigh out the pros and the cons. Spoiler, there's a lot more pros than cons. But there's a couple. I was forced to find at least a couple. And if my co-hosts aren't sick of hearing and talking about all the controversy that's surrounded the Elite and CM Punk, we might weigh some thoughts in there. And then the latest news of Roman Reigns not planned on losing any titles for the rest of the year. Shocker.
Right.
I guess we can weigh in on that too. Actually, you know what? Let's kick off our show with that, since that's like the easiest thing. RN, what do you make of the news, and do you think it's the right call?
Yes, they haven't built anybody else up that's credible enough to take the titles from them, and that's something that I'm hoping Triple H fixes. I know we kind of have it with Karrion Kross, but maybe that's why they're saying the rest of this year, which isn't like, if you really think about it, it's really not that much time left in the rest of this year, so that's not a big deal to me. But hopefully, Karrion or somebody will be up enough, and I don't know. I just don't see it like they're not doing anything on anybody on either brand that makes me believe anybody is ready to take the title. So,
Will, do you think this is just a case of the headline is more like, let's say, abrasive than the actual context? Because I kind of like wholeheartedly agree with RN, and I find it hard to be upset at the notion that Roman Reigns is likely to hold on to those belts for another couple months. I feel like it's like the headline that's like the jarring thing. What do you think?
I think I 100% agree with RN. If they don't decide to split the titles up, there's no way to have a protected drop of the title belts right now, because there's nobody that's going to beat Roman where you're going to be like, oh, well, that makes sense. You know, he's pretty much stacked everybody up, so there's nobody left on the roster for him to go through. Karrion Kross is a big name, but even when he went through his first debacle on the main roster, even if you took him at his height in NXT, I still don't think he was big enough to topple Roman. Cody has to come back and prove, not necessarily prove himself, but kind of have that build back up. So right now, there's just nobody that makes sense to drop the belts. This is one of those few opportunities where he might hit 4 digits in his title reign, solely because there's really nothing to do except for waiting.
Yeah, and it does. I mean, at this point, with the reign as long and, I mean, for the most part, well built. It's had some lulls here and there, but I think overall it's been a good title reign. I mean, you're not gonna have a title reign that's 3 years straight where it's on fire like the whole time. I don't think so personally. But at this point, it would need like a necessary blow off at like WrestleMania. Like, I wouldn't want to go into some B show like Extreme Rules, or here's a hot take, a B show like Survivor Series.
facts.
Wow.
And have the titles drop there. WrestleMania at this point feels like it is the only necessary spot. Yeah, and I mean,
I just hope we don't get Rock versus him, and if it is, I hope it's non-title.
yeah. So let's talk about that. Like, if it does happen, it'll be up there in the worst kept secrets with like the CM Punk to AEW,
Right.
where it's something we've seen coming like from years away. Yeah, that would be really weird, right? I think a report came out. Want to say it was one of the two, either Wrestling Observer or Fightful, came out that the plan under Vince was that Roman would face off against The Rock, retain, and be a babyface from that.
I don't see how the hell that would work.
Not now, at
happen.
least, right? Well, it was supposed to take place in 2021, but because of that pesky little pandemic there, we couldn't get the WrestleMania in LA, and that's kind of why. It seems like that. Where would The Rock fit in all of this, do you think, Will?
I don't think The Rock needs to be in it at all, to be completely honest. The Rock is bigger than
Facts.
wrestling. I was just looking over some numbers. Roman Reigns has been current champion for 745 days. If we go all the way till WrestleMania, that's only 201 days away. So he won't be at 1,000 days by next WrestleMania.
Right.
So like the whole him reaching, 1,000-day reign, if he doesn't lose it by WrestleMania, like how far past Mania is he going to go? But sorry, I was doing some research on it because I was curious about where those numbers were at. Like how long would he actually need to hold it? He would need to hold it all the way through next summer to hit 1,000 days.
Is that both of them or just one of the titles?
That's just the Universal title. He's only held
Right.
the WWE Championship for 164 days since WrestleMania of this
They
year.
gotta get both them straps. They gotta get one of the straps off of them. The unified shit. It just doesn't make sense. Like I mean, it's holding things up. Like I hope that's one thing. Like even if they do some swarmy shit and he like gives it to somebody or just something like if you're not gonna do a full on brand, if you're still doing a full on brand split, so give Raw their fucking title back. Especially if you're every 2 months you take Bobby Lashley off. Like how long has he been gone? Like I know he came back Monday night, but like it's like come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like they have any intention anytime soon. And
Right.
and I go based off of how they approach Bobby Lashley. You know what I mean? They never give that US title respect until the world title is jammed up. The last time I can think about was when Brock Lesnar was holding that belt and not on television for ridiculous amounts of time. It was at that point the US title was presented in such a way, and that's kind of seems like what they're doing on Raw with it. I mean, we saw Bobby last night. This is being shot on Tuesday evening. We saw Bobby last night dressed to the nine. He approached Seth Rollins about being the face of Monday Night Raw. He proclaimed that it was Bobby, in fact, that was the face. And that and then Seth said, when he mentioned gold earlier in the evening, he wasn't thinking about U.S. title gold, but his attention quickly did go to Bobby at that point. They set up the match. That U.S. title is the top title on Raw. Like there's no indication that there is a world champion to hang out on Raw. Roman is strictly a SmackDown guy holding up that Raw belt.
And that's my thing. Like, I'm okay with that, but really make it like that. Like, make the show centered around Bobby if he's your champ, which is what I've been saying is like, whatever show that the titles are not on, that secondary title should be the world title for that brand. So I like Bobby coming out dressing like old Hurt Business Bobby, looking like a fucking $1,000,000. You know what I'm saying? I like him talking that talk. Like, I still hate smiling babyface Bobby, but confident as hell. I'm the man, Bobby. That's the Bobby I love. And if he's going to be that backstage, I can take him doing the lame fist bump shit when he comes out to the ring. If he's going to be
the
that
offbeat
Bobby.
fist bump.
The offbeat. Like, he never gets it right, bro. Like, that's been your music for 5 fucking years now, and he never gets it right. Never.
Oh, man. Sticking with Monday Night Raw, let's take a look back at this last month or so in WWE. I had some fun doing this. I had some fun, and I didn't go too dive. I didn't go into like a video essay territory dive on this. Right. But I did come up with a couple bullet points, and I kind of want to hear your gut reactions to this. So, Triple H, of course, just took over head of creative along with several other roles in WWE. He's essentially leading the charge for what we see on television. So I took a look at some of the good stuff, and then also had to come in with some of the bad stuff. See if you guys can add on to this good list. So I got some pros here. The first is, I think, the most obvious one that we've seen, and that's wrestlers getting their first name back. Something so minor, but feels very refreshing. We got Tommaso Ciampa, most recently, I believe, Austin Theory, Matt Riddle. Hell, he was called Matthew on fucking Raw the other night.
Right.
Bringing back older talent or released talent that was just no call for. Dakota Kai, Dexter Loomis come to mind. Speaking of which, by the way, Dexter Loomis has got to be the oddest babyface ever, because for all intents and purposes, this dude's like a fucking psychopath. But since he's doing it to the Miz, it's
bizarre. Again, Triple H is not above this either. The bizarre world where villains are the faces and faces are the villains.
Yeah. And then also, let's say reuniting Imperium. I think that's a huge one. We got that.
That's probably one of the best.
Yeah, right here at Clash of the Castle. And then lifting the chains off of promo structure with some of these other wrestlers that they haven't been doing much with, most notably Kevin Owens. Just crushed it. Probably the best promo on WWE in the last...
Since Drew's a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. So... what do you guys think, man? I mean, obviously we're really high on this Triple H train, this refreshment of him. Do you think there's anything else I'm missing here?
The video packages and everything about the titles.
Yeah, elevating the mid card.
Yeah.
I feel like one other thing they're succeeding at now that they weren't doing before is they're accentuating in-ring work. And I say that in the fact that we've seen an average of in-ring TV time go up since SummerSlam, and we've seen an average of pre-recorded promos go down, which I think says that they're seeing more faith in what the talent can do live. I feel like they're giving people chances to go out there, and they're going to fail big if they put them on live TV and mess up, but they're at least giving them that opportunity.
Let's stop using those pronouns. Use he or him, because it's Triple H.
Okay. Whatever.
I'm just saying, like, let's call a fucking spade a spade. This is how Triple H booked NXT. This is how anytime he was in control of creative, anywhere he was at, small things or big things, that Japan show back in the day before he really took over NXT, the Cruiserweight Classic, it all starts in the ring and goes out for them. It's like a good football coach. You know, it all starts in the trenches. Offensive line, defensive line, you build everything else out of it. Same thing with wrestling. If you don't have a good product and good storytelling in the ring, it doesn't matter about the rest of the shit. And that's why I love Triple H booking style and how he looks at the business of wrestling. To go.
Yo, the other thing to note about the in-ring stuff, too, I know it's very divisive and polarizing, Dave Meltzer's star rating. But if I recall correctly, Sheamus and Gunther got a 5-star for their clash at Clash at the Castle. And I think that's worth noting, man. I think that is worth noting. Now, like I said, how much weight you put into Meltzer's star rating is completely up to you.
I normally don't, especially when it comes to AEW stuff, because he's literally like that picture of Randy from South Park where he just like jizzed all over himself or whatever. That's how he does with anything AEW. But when it comes to WWE, he's been shitting on him for the past like 30 years. So for him to give them anywhere near that type of rating is, as much as it sucks and as much as it's like his ratings aren't shit and you don't want to take it serious, but that also lets you know how differently even a staunch WWE hater and AEW stan, literally paid off writer, thinks about the product as well now that Triple H is in control.
You could argue it may even add more weight to the quality of the WWE rings.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, absolutely. That's it. Like, he is a staunch hater. You know what I'm saying? Like, unapologetically.
My issue with any kind of rating system, especially Dave's, is if you give Steamboat Savage 5 stars, and that's the epitome in some people's lists of the greatest match of all time, and then you give Gunther Sheamus 5 stars. I'm not taking away from what they did, but it wasn't Steamboat Savage.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean?
At it like like in Olympic trials or stuff like that, like you can get or even like baseball, a pitcher can have a perfect game. Doesn't mean that they're fucking the greatest pitcher of all time or the best pitcher even that year. Maybe not even the best pitcher in that fucking game. So like, I don't hold the star ratings like I don't hold them up against each other because it can be a 5-star match, but that doesn't mean it was the greatest match of all fucking time.
Yeah, and you obviously his taste and what would you say, like
Stannery,
standards have fluctuated over the years.
Like Stan.
Either way, yeah,
That
that stuff has fluctuated over the years. I mean, the guy's been handing them out for what, like 40 or 50 years at this point. So,
And let's talk about the fact he stole that idea from Jim Cornette. I'm just going to throw that out there.
before my time, you know,
It's before mine and RN's time too.
man. But yeah, no, yeah, great stuff, great stuff. All right, so here's some of the shitty things, and I'm not gonna lie, Triple H, I'm not gonna lie, can't necessarily take all the blame in some of this, but yeah, some of the blame. Okay, first, he brought Braun Strowman back, and that's not the problem. Is we brought the Vince McMahon version of Braun Strowman back with no changes, the same music.
He did change. He did change. He has on Shinsuke's pants and shoes.
And they look like they're Shinsuke's pants and shit.
They were tight.
They're busting out of them like the damn
I
Hulk.
even tweeted this. Y'all know I am a Triple H stan. I am
Yeah.
the Dave Meltzer of Triple H fans. And even I say, like, what the fuck is this? Like the
Dude.
first chink in the armor.
Yeah, so like I think all of Braun's presentation could be forgiven because I can see because I do have a different perspective. Is my kids are fascinated with Braun. Like anytime, like my son who doesn't even pay attention to pro wrestling anymore, he sees Braun Strowman and he's absolutely captivated. So I can forgive the cheesiness to it because there must be an appeal there for children. But squashing your tag team division literally came out, squashed 8 tag team members in his re-debut, in his return. In hell, 2 of the Fatal 4-Way. There's a Fatal 4-Way coming up for the tag straps, or number 1 contendership for the tag straps. American Alpha, he squashed him in a fucking handicap match. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
powerbomb fucking Otis.
That's what I'm saying. So that's where it's like, because he's not going after Roman. Like, you'd have to think that that's not the end game. So why build him up so like powerful that it diminishes that tag team division? And so
Presentation they should have did is what they're doing for Omos. That would have been perfect for Braun. He don't talk. He don't say nothing. Come in, squash like 4 or 5 enhancement guys or local talents and keep it fucking moving. I wouldn't have had a problem with what they did if he didn't kill the entire tag team division. Like, that made no sense.
What if he did this? What if prior to Braun's return, they brought it back James Ellsworth, and that's how we re-debuted Braun Strowman. Was James
all of that?
Yeah, man. And Braun comes out.
Like I said, my only complaint, like I hate him. Everyone knows that I hate Braun. I hate his presentation. I hate everything about him. But that's how he should be presented, as the crazy fucking giant heel, whatever the fuck you got him at. But they literally wrecked their entire tag team division on 2 shows. Like 2 shows. And that wasn't like, it was just like you said, like Alpha Academy and someone else. It was the Usos. I mean, not the Usos. It was the New Day, fucking
Street
Profits, who they've been building up literally for the past like 3 months. Like literally the entire division that we're supposed to think can beat the Usos can't beat one dude.
Yeah. And speaking of which, that goes straight into my second complaint is the lack of attention to the tag team division. He has shined a perfect spotlight on almost the entire singles divisions, both men and women's. But the Gulak and I'm not gonna lie, Asuka and Alexa Bliss, who were literally referred to as Bianca and Friends last night, which was egregious. Yeah. But look at the Fatal 4-Way for the number 1 contendership for the tag titles. The only team in there with a win is actually the Street Profits. The Los Lotharios are in the match. They just lost to Hit Row. The New Day's in the match. They've been losing to the Viking Raiders for like over a month straight. And then, of course, as mentioned, Chad Gable and Otis, who just lost a handicap match to Braun Strowman. So 3 out of the 4 teams in this number 1 contender match are on losing streaks. So I find the tag division actually surprisingly taking a hit, because if we remember, part of like the huge appeal of NXT Black and Gold was their tag matches. I mean, American Alpha, Chad Gable and help me out. Well, who was his tag team partner? He's a producer now. He's Kurt Angle's son.
I forgot his name, but yeah, American Alpha, DIY,
Yeah,
DIY was a good one.
Undisputed Era, FTR.
They killed it, man. Their tag division
Hell,
was
even
one of
fucking
the biggest highlights.
Aleister Black and Ricochet. Shit.
Oh yeah, they did tag for the Dusty Classic, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They might get a chance to tag next year too, by the sounds of it. But the tag division. That's the other big thing, and then the last thing, which he has no control over, but it's proving that even under Triple H's watch, Raw being 3 hours is just still too damn long to be captivating. Raw would have been fine last night at 2 hours. That last hour was just like, I'm not gonna lie, crap. It was a big dump.
I think you just got to get over it, because I'm to a certain extent I agree with you, but it's been everything's been so good. Like, you got to just power fucking through it and just forget it, because they're never going back. Like, they've made that very clear. It has nothing really to do with what they want. It's USA. So
yeah, and like I said, it's not Triple H's fault. It's 3 hours.
Yeah,
that's just really hard.
And he's even
to
said it
write
himself he even said it himself, like a 3-hour show. I mean, that was one of the first things he made a comment about when he took over, was the fact that how hard a fucking 3-hour show is to book and to write. But again, that it doesn't really matter how hard it is. He has to fucking do it.
Will, what you think, man? Any other shortcomings Triple H might have at the moment?
I'm not sure if you'd count this as a shortcoming or if you would say it's a perk and a good thing, but the 24/7 division, completely off the radar since Triple H took over.
Too, ain't it?
It's completely gone.
It's like Candyman. You shouldn't have said it out loud. Now it might come back.
But that was the big one on my list, is you haven't seen your Akira Tozawas, you haven't seen your Reggies, you haven't seen all of those like backstage jobber guys running around. You haven't seen any of them in months. And I think that's one of the big ones for me, is if they're going to get rid of the 24/7 title, are we in hopes that he'll bring back a European title with NXT Europe? Is he going to bring back the hardcore title? Like, give us a title that might mean something, or eliminate it to build up the other titles we do have.
Right.
Do you think we could transition from a 24/7 to a hardcore belt? Because I feel like the 24/7 title is just the PG
TV
version
friendly.
of the
Hardcore
hardcore title.
That's
They're
exactly
really
what
gonna
it
do
is.
if they're going to do the TV 14 stuff like they claim they're going to do, I wouldn't mind having the hardcore title back. I mean, WCW it doesn't have to be that broken one. Like, WCW had a decent looking hardcore title. It doesn't even necessarily have to call. You can still call it the 24/7 title with hardcore rules and make it like a whole ass division. Like, I wouldn't mind that. Or I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. Like, I'm cool with fucking R-Truth being the champ within, like, but like it was time for it to go. Like, it ran its course. Like, I'm glad. And I think Dana Brooke's still the fucking champ, ain't she?
Yeah,
She
so
is.
I was about to say that's the only time it gets on TV was during the women's tag team tournament. When Dana Brooke would be having matches, they would acknowledge that she's the 24/7 champion, but the rules are, of course, suspended during her matches. And then the same thing too. What really drove home that it wasn't going to go anywhere was the backstage segments where the other competitors would look at Dana and be like, "Don't even worry, we don't want that belt. Like, we don't want it." Which, dude, I mean,
forgot about that.
yeah, God, dude, that for me that just hurts like the perception of poor Dana, because I have such a soft spot for Dana Brooke. I
don't know why.
I really do, man.
Is
And
it
I
the
hate when
WrestleMania slip and fall? Is
No.
that what you know?
No, I always felt like I could see her trying. Like she doesn't seem like someone who
I
ever
don't.
phones it in. Like it just
No,
seems it
but
seems
that's
like
what
she
makes
is
me. No, so that's what makes me even more disappointed because she's. How can you be such a good athlete and such a terrible athlete at the same time?
oh, stop it. Stop it.
She's
I mean,
a
seriously, like
she's a
seriously.
great athlete, but she can't wrestle. I'm
Yeah, that's the
sorry.
thing. Like it's like, it's
Like
like
she can't do a wrestling school match. Why is she on live TV holding a strap?
I never
Yeah.
thought it was that bad.
terrible.
My hype was at its highest around one of the Money in the Bank matches that she was going to participate in, and I was just holding on to hope that she'd win it. But
tell me why Solo Sikoa is fighting fucking Carmelo Hayes, and he's called up.
I have to turn that junk. My app froze up and I panicked that it would like crash my stream, so I shut NXT off. Oh man, Allison says in the chat, she says, "I just need R-Truth on my TV. I don't care about anyone else." I agree with you, Allison. I think R-Truth is fantastic and still has plenty of stuff to offer, especially him counter. I think he'd be a great once they decide to start giving Austin Theory some wins back. I feel like a couple promos,
Right.
like big, like a father figure, R-Truth, kind of like what Kevin Owens did was talk some sense into the kid, but Kevin Owens can't eat some L's from Austin Theory. R-Truth could kind of do the same thing, kind of go back there, tell Austin Theory how he's.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I really do miss R-Truth on TV.
Dude, me too, man.
R-Truth was great. He's
Yeah.
I
also
never got down with it, but then I realized like just the breadth and the levity of his fucking reign, like compared to any black wrestler, honestly. I mean, that motherfucker has been going
Dude, he's
and at a high level. Like he's not like he's just like phoning shit in. Like whenever he wrestles, he's doing his fucking thing. So like I'm actually kind of proud of the longevity that he's had and the fact that he's done it being a comedy guy. You know what I'm saying?
well, he's had the
that's
same
exactly what I was gonna say, RN.
the
Like, you nailed
longevity
it.
of like the Undertaker. Like
Right.
he's been
Literally.
around that long. You know, obviously, just not in the same light.
Right. When did he do that K Quick shit? Was that like the late '90s?
Sunday
Like
Night
Attitude
Heat
Era type shit.
That
Yeah.
was Sunday Night Heat era. R-Truth, because that's how I originally remember him was K
Right.
Quick. That blows my mind.
Let's talk about the fact that R-Truth is an NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. Undertaker
Yeah,
never did
like-
that.
He's a few times it too, ain't he?
Yeah, it's 2 times.
He had that what was that tag team with Road Dogg, like Rough and Rowdy or something like that.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
in TNA.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I saw bits and pieces of that. Not live watching it, just going back and watching clips on YouTube and stuff. I actually
like-
thought it was kind of neat, man.
TNA Ron Killings, like when it was like an hour pay-per-view, that's the real deal where you got to see what he could really truly be. Got rid of the funny shit. He was a heel too. Like that's how I remember it. That's why it always kind of like pissed me off when he went back to WWE and became a joke with the what's up shit and everything, because his original run in TNA was so dope and so awesome, him being taken seriously and shit. So like, and then coming back to be shucking and jiving, but like I had to throw all that away and just think about how long this man's been doing it. Never any like crazy injuries. He's always there. Shit goes down, shit goes bad. They find some reason to get him involved, and you can like, he completely pretty much turned around Carmella's career. Shit, like if you can do that, that motherfucker's a magician.
He didn't he get to the heights where he was like 1 or 2 pay-per-views was going against John Cena?
Yeah.
Like I remember seeing a viral video of him throwing a drink in like a fan's face, and John Cena came by and ran him off and gave like a T-shirt to the fan or something. So, but yeah, no man. I mean, the guy's done his job and done his job exceptionally well for decades now. Heel R-Truth in the 2010 or whatever it was amazing. So I think that's what I'm referring to.
Yeah,
I just wasn't
shit.
watching wrestling at the time. Yeah, saw that clip, man. Dad and his kids too. Oh god, that gets me. Like, just doing that to a dad in front of his kids. That's some true heel shit, man.
Right.
Yeah. So, I don't know, man, dude. I I have the Young Bucks, or well, the Elite stuff, or no, the Young Bucks to WWE 2024 as like one of the topics. Dude, this is just like speculation run amok, right? This is non-news that people are trying to make news. I'm specifically the Young Bucks sending feelers to WWE.
Why would they not? Like, I don't mind any of this. Like, at this point, we should be happy that this is going on, that there's actually a market big enough where you can put shit out to see if you got a chance to go somewhere else. And like 2024 is a big fucking year. A lot of those top AEW
people moving in 2024.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not mad at that at all. And I kind of hope it happens. Like, I love the Young Bucks. I don't give a shit what anybody says. Like, they revitalized the whole fucking industry. And don't get me wrong, I know Finn and all those guys were the original guys with the Bullet Club and all that, but the Bullet Club didn't fucking jump off until the Young Bucks took over. Now, I don't care what anybody says. You can't tell me any different. They made that shit popular. They got that shit in Hot Topics. Like, nobody wants to give them the credit they deserve for turning the indies on their fucking head and making New Japan a viable thing as well. So I hope they get a shot in WWE. And like, I wouldn't even mind seeing them go against old fuck the Hardys come back too and like have like the us versus them type thing.
I got dude. I'm done with the Hardys, man.
That was a joke, bro. Relax.
Dude, it hurts to watch them walk at this point.
Right. I wouldn't mind seeing Bucks versus Usos, a real super kick party.
But Will, what do you think this is? Do you think this is just like the beginning stages of smart selling? Think about like when Randy Orton, someone we knew was never going to join AEW, but sent out all those little nuggets here and there that he might be interested to help get himself a better contract when his when contract renewal came up. Is this just good business where the Young Bucks are like, hey, let's go ahead and start driving that competition? It's just a quieter version, in my opinion, of what MJF is doing with probably behind the scenes and with his character. Is that what you're reading from this, or are you reading something else, Will?
I think that we touched a little bit on this Thursday on Botch Spots. We've borderline crossed into tampering. RN, you and I both agree that there's no point for it to even exist in pro wrestling. Like, tampering, there's no way to get around it. You go back to where pro wrestling came from. It's just a bunch of fucking carnies. You know what I mean? Like, that's all it is. Connies and con men ran the wrestling business for the first 100 years it was around. So you should expect it to be ran like carnies and con men. So that being said, the Young Bucks talking to WWE doesn't surprise me. They have best friends in the business. They trained with some of the producers. You know what I mean? You go back far enough. Bruce Pritchard was back in the MLW days back in the day with him. You know what I mean? Even when MJF was there, he's talked about it. Like, you look at what's going on. It's a small world, even for such a big sport or set of entertainment. So there's no way people aren't talking, even if you want to go, do you think there's feelers out? We know it happened when Omega was coming back from Japan. We know it was happening right before the Bucks joined AEW and did All In. So it wouldn't be the first time this has happened. And I think it's crazy to think that it isn't.
My thing is too is like, if they're fucking independent contractors like everyone claims they are, there's no such thing as tampering.
Absolutely.
What level of communication do you think there's been? Do you think this is something as simple as them reaching out to a friend that works in WWE and saying, hey, let the higher ups know that, you know, we're open to conversations in 2024 whenever our contracts are up? Or do you think Young Bucks have actually, like, maybe like not sat down, but like had a phone call with somebody that would be in charge of that?
They're dumb if they haven't. Like, I mean, like, it's like you said, it's just smart business. Like, you know what's coming up. You know what that everybody's contract is coming up, and everybody and I don't think Triple H's dumb enough to turn them down. If he can get them, I guarantee you he'll sign the Young Bucks if he can, if it's a real thing. Like, he's not that dumb. Like, he knows what this is. He knows what the industry is. And I'm sorry, them super kick party at WrestleMania, are you fucking kidding me? That is going to be, that's like, no matter how much you hate them, you cannot tell me that that's not going to be a fucking pop when they come out and those streamers and shit get shot with fucking 60, 70,000 people at LA or somewhere, Orlando or some shit. Like, get the fuck out of here. That's big money to the fucking core. And you're stealing 2 more executives away from your competition.
We also know from Chris Jericho that WWE is having talent do the talking.
Yeah,
Because
that's what they said.
Chris Jericho came out and said that he had current WWE wrestlers ask what level of interest he had in coming back, because that's where the original tampering originally came from.
Right.
It was leaked. I think Fightful originally reported it, as much as I hate giving uh you know Sean Ross Sapp any credit at all. But he was the original one to report it, and I feel like it goes without saying that that's just the way it is in the business.
Uh, spoiler alert: Solo Sequoia just won the fucking North American title from Carmelo.
Really?
They want that bloodline draped in gold,
Oh
man.
my god, that's
So is Solo going to take the North American title with him to the main roster now? Then
Yeah, that's definitely what that's for. So now you have the image of Roman with the 2 belts, the Usos with the 4 belts, and now Solo with the yeah. Oh man, dude, that was the quickest. Like, bro, if you want to be in here, you have to have gold. Like, that's why hasn't Sami Zayn gone and pinned Dana Brooke yet? You know what I mean?
Why
like
hasn't
that,
he just brought back the cruiserweight title? Just like he stumbles across it, like at one of the
Midian
shows
did,
somewhere.
like Midian did that with the European title. He was like, Shane, you have this belt in your bag. Can I borrow it for the night? And then he goes out to the ring as the European champion. Like, that's what Sami Zayn needs to do with the light heavyweight championship, not the cruiserweight title.
Yeah,
Go all the way
heavyweight.
back to like the 1990s.
Let it still have Taka Michinoku's names on the nameplates and shit.
Yeah, all the way back, like
Jesus.
1992 shit.
who's the members? You got Hero, Adrian Adonis, BFAB, and
Top dollar.
Top Dollar. Have Sami Zayn hit up Top Dollar because he has that A&E show. And he obviously has access to the warehouse where all of their props and old stuff is. Yeah,
That's right.
there you go.
No, what they need to do is put Sammy on the indies and have Sammy go around and collect these, like, these little mud show titles. And every week Sammy shows up with whatever mud show title he won that week in, Spokane, Washington, or wherever he's working. Like, Sammy goes and wins whatever indie title he can scrape together for that week. And then he shows up on SmackDown with, the IWA Southern Heavyweight title.
I love it. Yeah.
That actually is a good.
No, I love it. Just whatever town they're in, he goes to the closest indie, scoops up their belt before they come in.
Yep.
I think realistically though, I think like in all honesty, like what will happen is, dude, Sammy's probably gonna get that 24/7 belt. Like, I mean, because he has to have a belt to be in the. That has to be like one of the story beats. Is like, look, everybody's got gold. They already tried that with him, right? With the Intercontinental title, didn't they?
Yeah, he's a 2-time IC champion.
Well, no, didn't they send him after? Who did Gunther beat?
Yeah, it was. I thought he beat Ricochet for like a night or two, didn't he, or like a week or something? Like early on when all this started.
No, Gunther took the belt off of Ricochet in a squash match.
Yeah,
Because Rico had that big run, and everybody's like, maybe they're bringing the IC title back, and here comes Gunther. Never mind.
maybe I'm just thinking about them not going after the belt, but going after winning the main event against Drew McIntyre. That might be what I'm confusing it with. Either way, you guys think CM Punk's coming back to AEW?
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
I
it
think
doesn't
he is.
feel
Who else
like it,
want him?
right?
I think he is. He's not dumb. He knows where that's the only place he'll be able to get any real money from. Because I doubt WWE, especially now that fucking Triple H is in charge, I definitely doubt that that's a thing that he'll come back there. But I wouldn't put it past Trips, though. I mean, Trips doesn't. He won't put anything past money, but I just don't see it happening. He has to go back there.
This is one of the few things I actually wrote notes down for, Kai Tai.
Yep.
I said, this is the issue with the Punk stuff. Punk is in it for himself, but he's also in for himself the same way the Young Bucks are in it for themselves, and
Right.
Omega's in it for themselves. So them being the collective, though, the Elite, the Bucks, Omega, Page, their little clique is the reason why Punk is now sitting on an island, though. Punk willingly isolated himself by calling out the clique.
Right.
So Punk did it to himself. Whether you agree with Punk or disagree or indifferent, the one fact of the matter is Punk did this to himself by going off the deep end, because of the question about another wrestler. You know what I mean? The question was about Colt Cabana that set him off, that made him lose his mind about everybody. Back in the day, the old promoters would have taken this kind of backstage heat and they would have immediately booked it in a match. They would have put CM Punk versus Kenny Omega the next Wednesday night on Dynamite. They would have put CM Punk and FTR against Omega and the Bucks. You know what I mean? Like they would have done something like that to get the heat on TV. And I've been saying it for almost 2 years, and this is the perfect example of it. The inmates are running the fucking asylum.
Yeah, Tony don't have the balls for that because that's the same thing I was thinking. I was like, all of this fucking, because there's no such thing as bad publicity, but all this spotlight and the smarks and the internet going fucking wild. Why would you not take advantage of this? Like, I understand they needed to be suspended, and that was a good move too, him coming out and doing it. But business
could it be their egos where they just are refusing to work with each other?
Yeah, well then, all right, then that's when you do fucking suspend them and say this is why we tried to get them to work together and they wouldn't, so I suspended them. So either way, you still come out on top smelling like roses. But Tony just doesn't have the balls that, and that's what's wrong with the In-Rays running the asylum, like Will mentioned. Like,
he might now. I mean, you would have to think. Now, granted, like, will he learn from this? I mean, he's definitely gonna learn from this. Will he actually execute going forward, I think, is the question. There's no way that you don't learn from this whole thing something. Like, you definitely are going to learn something. It's just, does Tony have the discipline and the foresight and the drive to execute going forward to ensure this shit don't happen again? That's
he
the
doesn't.
real question.
He doesn't, because he doesn't know how to run a fucking wrestling promotion.
Exactly.
And I'm not taking away from what he's done. He started from nothing. He's built 3 years. We are well past the point of TK letting go of those reins and giving the promoting rights and the booking rights to somebody from the business. TK is a businessman. He's not from the wrestling business.
Yeah, but couldn't this be him learning? You got to learn somewhere, right?
Yeah, but you don't learn how to drive a car in a Ferrari.
I mean, if you got the money to replace the Ferrari with another Ferrari, you know what I mean? Like,
that is the most 2022 answer to that response is if you've got the money to buy another Ferrari, learn to drive in a Ferrari.
He's boasting about how much money he's got. I'm just saying.
I'm not mad at him running the company, but hire somebody that can help you.
That's all I'm saying is get somebody
get you a learning tree.
Yeah.
And he has a bunch of them there, like Chris Jericho. Like, I would have made Chris Jericho like my right-hand man out the fucking gate as soon as he was signed. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and just tell him, like, yeah, I'm not going to. Oh, yeah. Even Tony Schiavone. Shit. Yeah. Like, Schiavone gets a lot of shit, but Schiavone's been around and been through some shit. And fucking Excalibur, too. Excalibur's been a booker places before and put together dope-ass matches. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He has a built-in booking committee and fucking a team already there. It's just, do you have enough? Can you put aside your fucking ego to take advantage of it? Like, that would have been my booking committee right there. All three of the fucking announcers, including Taz, because Taz was a booker as well, ran half the shit in ECW. You might as well say he was the executive vice president of ECW, him and Bubba Ray. So the entire announce team, Chris Jericho, and even give fucking Mox a consulting spot. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are guys that have been in it and the big time and know what they're doing to make money every fucking where. Why would you not pick their brains on how to run a fucking business when fucking JR is responsible for running the entire business and signing some of the biggest names in the history of this fucking business? Like, I would have his fucking slack jaw ass right next to me in every fucking negotiation, anything that had to do with talent. I'd have JR in the back, like, what you think? Look, you know, like on Chappelle's show and shit, when he's like, they're talking, he covers the mic and shit, looking around like, JR, what's up, man? What you think? Yeah, we're going to go with JR said. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. It's dumb. That's not a great leader if you don't know how to delegate shit out and let the people under you work shit out so you don't have to. Like, it's dumb.
No, that's what I'm, like I said, that's what I'm speculating on is if this man is going to take this situation, because you don't, you know what I mean? Like, he came out and he put on a good follow-up episode of Dynamite, in my opinion. Dynamite felt pretty fresh.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
was regimented. It felt in control. Like it didn't feel like anything was going off the rails. It felt like he had a plan. It's to me, as honest, it was one of the first shows where it felt like he did know what the fuck he was doing, and he had a goal to get to, and he executed the plan flawlessly. That was the first time it's felt like that in a long time, and it sucks that it takes something this bad to do it. But maybe, like you said, maybe this is his little like snap him out of it moment to get him. All right, I've been fucking up. I got to get this shit back on track.
Yeah, it's just a matter of if you can maintain that level of discipline, and we'll see. I mean, I know. There's a lot of detractors out there, and I'm not like a TK defender. I find myself pretty comfortable on the fence most of the time. I like to hear both sides.
Yeah, standing.
I'm not
Whatever you
anti AWA though in a lot of ways.
No,
Like,
no, no. I
like
didn't say
a lot
you.
of it.
No,
no.
I said
but what-
TK detractor is what I mean. Like, there's a lot of anti Tony Khan stuff. I noticed.
Yeah, there's a lot of pro AEW anti TK guys right now.
Yeah.
enough.
That's all I was mentioning, and of course I wasn't saying you specifically, but of course if you have a something you wanted to add to that.
Well, first, I think that TK, like I said, TK needs to bring somebody in who knows how to book, who knows how to run a wrestling company. He doesn't necessarily need to completely hand over the reins, but also with the hatred between the two companies, I have yet to understand how we survived the Attitude Era without ripping each other to shreds, and now we're sitting here in 2022, and it's like not even it shouldn't even be a fight anymore. It's almost like when people say like overtly like terrible things and you're like, why would you say that? It's 2022. You know, that's kind of how I feel sometimes when I hear these people fight about it. I'm like, who cares? We're arguing about pro wrestling. It's already a fake sport on a fake TV show.
Right.
You know, it's all a work.
Well, not to mention, I feel like where the most recent incarnation of the tribalism came was the obviously the formation of AEW and the let's be honest, the anti Vince McMahon shtick that was kind of masqueraded as anti WWE. But
Right.
it's like you take anybody that was like maybe the Wednesday Night Wars had people anti NXT, anti AEW, but to be fair, I found myself loving both shows for the same reason, was they were a breath of fresh air compared to Raw and SmackDown. I just on Wednesdays you kind of had to make a choice, and I chose to watch AEW live.
I just
we
hated
don't
it because what got me going in it towards the hating AEW part is that they act like they were really doing something beating WWE's third brand, developmental. Half those guys you're never going to see win shit on actual Raw. And we all said that SmackDown was probably at the time the worst show on TV, and it was still consistently beating AEW in the ratings.
It
And
had
was
that
the worst
one
fucking
week
show on TV.
where the fucking rerun on FS1 beat Rampage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, it wasn't really a war, or was it you just like beating up a guy? You're beating up the bully's kid brother, and then acting like you're really doing something to him. Like,
I think what it was is a lot of people found a fan base that they found a wrestling show that had a certain level of popularity that also
Right.
enjoyed essentially sending the message of giving Vince or WWE the finger. Like
Right.
you'd find those fans like little pockets here and there, but then when AEW was formed, I was like, okay, this is probably the largest that group has ever felt to that point. But I'll say nowadays that narrative's gone. Like it should
yeah,
be
well, because a
gone.
lot of it is NXT Gold was fucking AEW, just in a different package. Like, it was essentially the same fucking people. And if AEW had been around, maybe some of those guys wouldn't even be in NXT, which we saw a lot of them went to AEW. So it's just like, that's the part I never got. It's like, you're essentially like booing your brother. I mean, because that's what I always looked at NXT and AEW as, like almost the same. Like, no, I did. I looked at it the same fucking thing. It's just like one just happened to be attached to WWE, which everybody hates. So.
Why do you think like all those NXT wrestlers are welcomed so well?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Onto
Like, it was like,
AEW.
yeah,
People got excited. Some other people, some other wrestlers that may have people didn't get excited for is why they wound up on this list that we're covering, and that is 10 wrestlers / tag
Oh
teams.
shit, I forgot about the list.
Yeah, man. We're not going to do an hour on it because we're already an hour in, but
We
Yeah,
just
we'll
did an
go ahead.
anything goes rewind.
that's pretty much
Well,
it.
the
But let's-
Anything Goes episode on Thursday turned into a Smacking It Raw crossover event.
Right.
yeah, that was a fun episode to watch, by the way, Will. You guys crushed it that night.
Botch spots and
that-
cum shots.
That was a lot of fun. RN and Vince make it easy.
Yeah. I remember Vince really does make it easy to work with too, by the way. Like I feel like he's the type of person you can put in so many different types of shows and it goes really smooth. Yeah.
Right.
Agreed.
Yeah. So I got a list here. We don't need to go a full hour, but we'll give some thoughts and levities. Over the last AEW is a little over 3 years old now. And in that time, they've scooped up pretty much anybody and everybody that has any weight to their name. And it seemed like that was a place to go. If you were leaving WWE or if you were coming up in the ranks and maybe you just didn't seem like a guy that would fit under Vince McMahon's regime. So, but this, there was a couple people and tag teams that either slipped through AEW's fingers or openly maybe was rejected by AEW for various reasons. So I compiled a list here with the help of Will and RN and a couple other people over on Smacked Raw, like Ted. Ted was very helpful too in I think one of the picks. But yeah, so in no particular order, here's 10 wrestlers and tag teams that did not make it, and we'll just, I don't know, riffed on it is the best way to put it. By the way, you guys, I kind of went backwards in the list. So if you look at the list, I'm going from 1 to 10, but I'm going to announce it in the opposite direction. Number 10, Kushida. Time Splitter, man. This seemed like a layup for AEW. About when was it that he left NXT? That was not that long ago, right?
It was a little bit after the shift to 2.0, I thought, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
I have a friend who makes gear. He works with one of the promotions here in town, PWA Kai, the show you were at.
Yes.
And he
Oh, cool.
told me that he was making gear for Kushida, but he wasn't told when or where it was going to be happening. So that was back right after his release. So everything was leaning towards him going back to New Japan and reigniting with who was it? Was it Alex Shelley in the Time Splitter?
Yeah.
with him?
I believe so.
That's
Yeah,
what I
Alex
thought,
Shelley. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
So getting those guys back together because he also made gear for him. So I feel like AEW was never the question. If Kushida were to ever leave, I think New Japan was kind of that automatic assumption, kind of the way it would be if Shinsuke were to leave. You know what I mean? Everybody would just go, okay, he's going to go back to New Japan.
Allison helped with the list too, by the way. Always forget to mention her. I'm so sorry, Allison.
Oh, she'll remind you.
Yeah,
Oh,
she
she
did.
definitely will.
She did.
Okay.
Boss bitch attitude.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh man. So yeah, I mean, look, cause she does in the back half of his 30s, you know. And given that he just left, what was it this year? Right, is when he left.
I thought so.
Hold on, I can tell you. His last match in WWE was he lost to Edris Enoff and Malik Blade on March 22nd. And then his first match back was in New Japan on July 3rd.
Yeah. so
Okay.
it's 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4
So-
months, but yeah.
4 months, yeah.
He did work with Impact, New Japan, and New Japan Strong since then. He wrestled last week and lost to the Bullet Club, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, man. I think he would have fit in, but I believe at this point, I mean, come the beginning of the year of 2022, I believe this year really wrestlers I think started approaching joining AEW with some hesitation. I believe that
Right.
that they had been exposed for bloating their roster, and then also not getting around to using their signees correctly or quickly. Also, so yeah, I could see why Kushida would have passed it up, even if it was on his radar to begin with.
That's what I said. I think it was more like what Will said. I think it was just he just went home. Like,
Yeah, and that very well is there too. Number 9, Karrion Kross, Killer Kross, man. This one, he's back. I think it's in hindsight very obvious why he didn't go to AEW. I feel like with him, I bet Triple H or other people in WWE, and I'm just speculating, but I would not be surprised if they kept a line of communication open after he was let go and just said, "Hey, just wait it out. We are working some stuff backstage. It won't be too long before you're back in the company."
I think it was a little bit of that, and I think it was like you said before in the first one, like it was more so of AEW being super top heavy, but not getting anybody really changing. I think he had said that on Chris Van Leet. I think I always mess up his name. I think he had said something to that effect on the interview he did with him, like almost right after he got released, and why he is kind of hanging back, taking his time before he made a decision where he would go full time.
It is kind of shocking, though, after they turned Kross into a gimp. That credit to his willpower, because I think that would have sold people on AEW alone in a lot of cases too. Just that bad taste of the final stretch of that run with WWE he had.
Sheesh.
But now with hindsight, I mean, look, we got his entrance back. They're still holding off before we get, I think, the full entrance treatment. Although we did get a match on SmackDown with him recently, where he unfortunately crushed our boy Gulak.
He's been working Gulak a lot in house shows and stuff.
All right, trying to get back into shape.
Yeah, judging by the way the matches all look, they all seem to fall into that 2-minute to 7-minute range. So it looks like they're just getting his ring rust off. But the irony is he's been working consistently since he was taking off his non-compete in February. He's been working consistently ever since, mostly with MLW. He did do Ric Flair's last match. He wrestled the British Bulldog's son, Davey Boy Smith Jr., squashed him in 5.5 minutes.
Did he do something? Was he one of the few people that did something with the Control Your Narrative?
He did. He wrestled and beat up Vincent when Vincent was on CYN's roster.
Okay. But yeah, he definitely didn't get didn't get tied down. He made sure to not sign anything while he was testing the waters. And then, of course, now we have the full NXT package. It seems, also with some spooky powers. Apparently, it goes to black and white now. If he's just on television, we drop the frame rate down to 24 frames a second, which is a nice little touch I noticed. And did you all catch the subtle way that he essentially choked out the SmackDown broadcast on Friday? Did you catch that?
I haven't watched Friday's show yet. I'm watching it tomorrow.
So the end of the show, he jumps Drew McIntyre, and everything goes black and white, and he's choking Drew out. And as he's choking Drew out, they're commentating how Drew's on the verge of passing out, and as it's going on, the audio and the broadcast all fade out and fade to black until I guess metaphorically,
let's go.
Drew was choked unconscious, which forced SmackDown off the air. It was a pretty neat touch, man. It was,
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
So storytelling.
Yeah, man. It was pretty cool, man. Something that wasn't cool was Matt Cardona showing up in AEW. Do you guys remember this? He's our number 8.
Yeah.
So this was a was it MLW that he went to? and
He
had the
went
death
to
match.
GCW.
GCW, excuse me. So pre-death match in GCW, he went to AEW, and I remember he was the first ex-WWE guy that I think the AEW fan base collectively groaned and was like, "Oh, please no." I feel like he was the first miss.
And booed, openly booed.
Yeah. He showed up for, Jesus, I think less than a month. But he was very much Zack Ryder, not Matt Cardona, if that makes any sense.
No, I definitely did.
Will, you have a controversial take on Cardona. What you think?
What do I think about Matt Cardona?
Yes.
I think Matt Cardona has done incredibly well for his image since leaving WWE. I think he is making a mockery of professional wrestling at the same time.
That is a fantastic fucking take, dude. I love that shit right there, man.
I think that he's doing it well. He's done great to get over and get heat with the crowd. They love the way he's doing it, everything about it. And I guess he's doing his job right because I hate his guts as a heel. But I feel like this whole like bigger than the business thing it's too much for me. Like he's crossing the lines with some of these like stupid comedy matches he's doing in NWA, the deathmatch bullshit, the king of the internet champions, like ultimately taking a piss on the ECW heavyweight title and the 10 pounds of gold. Like, come on, dude. I get what he's doing, but you still have to show a little bit of respect for the guys that came before you. I'm not telling you to act like it's 1986, but show a little bit of class and respect for the business that's made you millions.
Man, fuck all that, man. He's been disrespected and shit on forever. I still don't like him either, but I like the piss and vinegar that's coming out of him because let's be honest, he's been shit on as long as he's been on TV, from being one of the edge heads to beyond all of that. Like, I like him having the chip on his shoulder and saying, fuck you guys, I'm doing this. And that GCW shit made me have a hell of a lot more respect for him as a performer, being that he was willing to put himself through that shit and be a heel. He hasn't been a heel in fucking 10 years. Zack Ryder in WWE was always a face. Mm-hmm. So like him being able to take that upon himself and use the real heat that they had against him, that shit was smart. And I commend him for being able to make as much money, or if not more, not in the WWE than when he was. So like I said, he's not my cup of tea. I fucking hate him, but I'm not gonna hate on the man for getting his hustle up.
He's done well.
One idea too is that potentially Jericho may have ripped off Cardona for his whole JAS sports entertainer group, seeing the success that Cardona had portraying the WWE architect in GCW, and seeing the level of reactions he got. Flipping that on its head and playing off the anti-WWE crowd.
But they all stole that from ECW anyway, with Jerry Lawler and them.
Yeah,
and the ECW's came around. So it's like, I don't really like saying anybody ripped off anything in wrestling because it's all ripped off at some point or another from somebody else. So
yeah,
I get where you're coming from though.
The most recent version of this. How about let's just say that? Yeah, because no, you're absolutely right. And my my knowledge of pro wrestling history is a shallow puddle, anyways. So I need that. But
you know that I'm way better at you when it comes to those things. So
we're gonna fucking have a rematch, okay? Anyways,
we're gonna ride this dead horse till it can't fucking ride no more.
Sticking with the Control Your Narrative trio, which, spoiler, are all on this list. Braun Strowman. I cannot believe at one point I was excited at the idea of Braun Strowman popping up in AEW. I think it was merely he would have been the first giant there that still had like a certain level of athleticism to him. I was excited at the idea of Braun Strowman exposing, like I know you would have been, just how small the roster really is.
And that's why I told you, remember we had that conversation why I didn't think he was going there because of that.
Yeah, you think it would have just shined a negative light overall on their roster whenever you had Braun Strowman in the ring and everyone looked like James Ellsworth?
And I feel like Right. That, and I would, that's exactly. Remember, I think we even said that, like that, and like who would he have a good match with there when everyone's the size of his kids? You know what I'm saying? Like, and just on general, like I knew that the money and stuff involved and how much they put into Braun Strowman, like I just never saw him anywhere else except maybe Japan if he had went. But like I mean, I think we said that we said him and Bray Wyatt both on the show that they're neither one of them if they go anywhere it'll be um back to WWE.
Logic wise, if he did go to AEW, he would have had to, not that he would have actually done it, but he would have had to have won the world title and been one of the strongest champions based off of his size advantage alone. You know what I mean? It would have been tough to really put together a match of any believable contenders.
Big Show, Mark Henry would have had the actual fucking wrestler.
Yeah, Mark Henry would have gone out. Big Show would have gone out.
And Big Show, they would have had to actually fucking wrestle.
Yeah, that would have been the reuniting of Mark Henry and the Big Show, was to come in and stop Braun Strowman.
Can you imagine that match though? That would be like, as much as we hate Braun, like Keith Lee, Big Show, Mark Henry, and fucking Braun Strowman. Like, can you imagine the beat meat men slapping meat in that fucking match?
WWE proved that like people are still fascinated if you can get that fatal four-way of giants. What was it? We got what was that classic match where Braun almost got knocked out by Brock Lesnar after he kneed him too hard? Because it was Braun, Brock, it was Samoa Joe. Who was the fourth participant? Was it Roman? Did they have like a small guy in there?
I think it might have just been them three. I think it was just a triple threat.
You think so?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it was just Roman, Braun, and Brock. I could be wrong, but I thought it was just a triple threat match.
Yeah. Let me read off Noob's list here because he highlighted it, and there's this weird thing where if you highlight your message, I can't pin it, and it's the most weirdest thing. So Noob says he's got 10 guys here, and a lot of them are actually on this list, but you got Cross on here, Bronson Reed, Johnny Wrestling.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, Johnny Wrestling definitely deserves to be on this list. Dexter Loomis, Braun, of course. And then he says he's got a lot of people from Dark and Dark Elevation. So Maxie Impaler, Christy James. Maki Ito was actually an interesting one. Someone who seems like she should have signed, but she never quite did. Noob's favorite wrestler, Natalia Markova. And then, of course, the Briscoes, who the Briscoes are going to be on this list later on. It's a very good list.
Everyone on that list is on my list. Not everyone, but everybody. I have most of that list on my list.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the third leg of this three-legged table from Control Your Narrative. EC3, man. What happened here? Not that what happened, like why isn't he with AEW? But this guy, when he was released a couple years back, released some awesome vignettes and self-produced videos that got us hyped for him. And then how did he miss the mark so hard? And I think that's probably why AEW passed on him too, because he pretty much, with the formation of Control Your Narrative, I think maybe he never wanted to go there, but after Control Your Narrative and all the drama that's come along with that, AEW probably doesn't want to touch him anyways. What's going on with this EC3 here? Because he's if from what I know, he's ridiculously talented.
He's a good talker on the mic. He's a great worker in the ring. I think the issue with his character leaving WWE was there was no like clear defined destination of the story. You know, like we knew how it was starting and what he was doing, and he was kind of doing, like you said, the creepy vignettes and stuff, but they cut it too short without having any real clear defined like destination point. So when he was released from the company, nobody really knew what that version of EC3 was. Then you fast forward to the CYN stuff and all the bullshit they went through there. And then if you look at what he's doing right now, he might be doing some of the best work recently in his career with the NWA stuff he's doing, because he's killing it right now. Going in, he's doing just good traditional wrestling matches, doing, you know, pre-recorded studio style promos and stuff, but he's killing it. So I think the NWA might be a better fit for him than in AEW because it allows him not to have to worry so much about the production value and everything happening. It gives him a chance to accentuate the things he's good at, simple promos and matches.
I'm gonna have to check out NWA. I wasn't even aware he was wrestling there.
No, I wasn't either.
But you say he's doing well over there. Like he doesn't have this internet stink that seems to be around the control your narrative stuff.
My running joke with CYN is now that Karrion Kross is back in WWE, Braun Strowman is back in WWE, and EC3 is working at least a part-time schedule with NWA. It's really just a lot of indie guys that couldn't get booked anywhere else. Like that's
it felt
what
like
CYN
that's what it was. Yeah, everybody that was.
I didn't even know half those fucking dudes.
If for lesser, for better terms, it essentially was like an oversimplification of it.
It was the Job Squad, is what it was.
Canceled wrestlers, people like wrestlers that got canceled on Twitter, and it was and that's kind of like what Will is saying here is Twitter canceled them, so they couldn't wrestle anywhere else. And so they created their own wrestling organization with hookers and blackjack. But yeah. It definitely seems like Braun and Kross definitely did control their own narrative because they went back home.
Got the fuck out of there.
Yeah, they did too. They realized how fucking expensive it is to run a wrestling promotion. They were like, this was not a good idea.
Mm-hmm. You think Braun ate humble pie after the poorly worded tweets telling indie wrestlers to give up on their dreams once they were released? I'm simplifying the message here.
That's why I'm blocked, right?
I had a feeling because
he posted a CYN show and they were legit wrestling in an Applebee's, and I tweeted something about how because I said something about it was just me being a witty smartass, and I said something about becoming the person you hate the most, like after making a comment about being just a shitty indie dude or whatever. And he made a comment back, and we went back and forth for a little while, but apparently he got real butthurt and blocked me and the podcast.
Was this the one where you said, like, you have heard of me? Like, you pulled the Jack Sparrow on him.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did, because he was like, whatever, you and your shitty podcast, and, the 5 people that listen to you or whatever, like, I'm not going to worry about what your opinion is. And I was like, but you have heard of my opinion. Like, that's all that matters. I don't care if you like it or not. Leave a comment telling me how great I am or how terrible I sound. I don't give a shit.
It helps the algorithm, apparently.
That's right, man.
The next set of names here, most of them, these are the ones that were like heavily rumored to be going to AEW. And a lot of them we were pretty let down when they didn't wind up there. So starting off with number 5 is the Iconics, who ended up probably making one of the best decisions in their career. I ain't gonna lie. And they passed on AEW to go to the NXT women's, or not NXT, excuse me, Impact's Knockouts divisions.
Impact, yeah.
Re-debut as the Inspiration, instantly won gold. I think
fire ass theme song too.
Yeah, it brought so much attention to Impact. They were probably the biggest names to join Impact in quite some time at that point.
Sure.
Yeah. So that was one of the early signs that this let's say lack of attention that AEW's women division was becoming a problem, and I think that was one of the first signs of it was when the Iconics famously passed on going to AEW to join Impact, of all companies. What you guys think?
Yeah, I wish they had kind of stayed together longer and kind of maybe had the chance to jump to AEW, but like you said, I mean, the impact, no pun intended, they made on Impact and how it shook up kind of the industry, that was fucking legit. Like I said, their package was almost exactly the same, but they came out with a dope ass ring entrance and everything. The song was fire too, and just the name, the Inspiration, that was fucking legit. Like I loved it. Like that was right when I kind of jumped into TNA again. Well, not TNA, with Impact, kind of heavy. So like I got to see pretty much their whole run, and They are one of the most underrated tag teams probably ever in the fucking industry as far as women tag teams go.
I have a really unpopular opinion about Impact. Well, I think it's great, but a bunch of people give me shit for it. I say Impact has the best women's division in pro wrestling right now.
Yeah,
I don't think that's
it's
too
From top-
unpopular.
from
I
top-
think there's a lot of
from
people
top to
that
bottom.
share that.
Yeah, they've got
losing Brooke Hogan was a kind of a blow to him, but I think it's better than WWE's for sure, and definitely I think it's right there with WWE's, but it's definitely better than AEW's, especially as far as match quality goes and just the stories and everything. They're like I don't
Hold
think
up.
that's too crazy of a take.
Hold up. Hogan's daughter was a blow to the.
No.
You mean Kira Hogan?
Here, Hogan. Yeah, where the fuck I get Brooke Hogan?
You said Brooke Hogan, bro. I was like,
shit.
wait, when did? I was like, oh god, dude, I missed something.
Here, Hogan.
man.
Yeah.
Fuck. He's like, yeah, man, they were doing great, but when they lost Brooke Hogan, everything went downhill. It's like, holy shit, that bar was set low. Yeah, man. And another tag team that also chose Impact famously, although this wasn't really as big a blow to AEW because they wound up on AEW TV somehow more than Impact's, and that is the Good Brothers, man. Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson. Another.
I don't count them. You should have stricken this one from the books because them
No,
motherfuckers.
man, I had
At
to
this point,
include
they
it.
spent half their time at AEW.
They did. We didn't know that was going to happen, though. Okay, let's be honest. We did not know that AEW and Impact would strike that very lopsided agreements
Right.
where they work together. And that,
Shit, now they're fucking splitting half their time in Japan.
yeah, man.
Anderson currently holds the never openweight
Never weight, that's what I'm
champion
saying.
if he hasn't lost it since the last time I heard, but he was wearing singles gold in Japan anyways.
Right.
Yeah, man.
And I am at the G1. I haven't checked. They were the Impact Tag Champions too.
They lost the Impact Tag Championships to that just happened recently. I can't remember who.
Yeah, I was
I'm
about to say
sorry.
because like one of the last G1 matches, they had all three belts. Well, he came out. They came out with all the belts.
They
Yeah,
always
man.
got like a million belts.
I kind of agree with you, RN. Yeah, Good Brothers is kind of cheating here because they did find themselves on AEW TV almost as probably more than some of AEW's own signed people. Let's be honest. Now.
Right.
You
Well,
know,
and you got to think they were on AEW like twice a week
they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
because they were on Dynamite and Rampage.
Dude, it was fun seeing them though. Like I will say this, like seeing the elite version of the Bullet Club
Right.
was pretty fun because let's face it, it was that version that popularized Bullet Club here in
Yes.
the West. Was the elite's whole side of the faction. So as a person that learned about Bullet Club kind of after everybody had split, it was pretty neat to see the stuff come together because, you know, for whatever reason, Vince didn't want to do it when he had Finn, AJ, and the Good Brothers all under the same roof.
Right.
Still one of the biggest missed opportunities in WWE, in my opinion. Now the name PCO. This was one that Ted brought up. I didn't realize that PCO signed with Impact right around the time, I think, if I read it correctly, that AEW was formed. And of all people that revitalized his career, PCO has had a killer run. Now, I'm not going to lie. I'm not the most familiar. I see the highlights online of this dude, I think in his 50s, just taking insane, crazy bumps.
He's
But Will,
54.
you probably have some more insight on PCO, don't you?
He was if we go back far enough into the WWE days, we're talking about like early 90s, 92, 93, 94 range. He wrestled as one of the great Pierre somebody, or he was one of the Rougeau brothers or something like that. Not the Rougeau, that was the Mountie. But he was one of those French Canadian characters all the way back to like 93 and 94. And then you look at the fact that you go all the way forward now to 2022, and you've seen this guy work everywhere from GCW to Impact to Ring of Honor to WWE. You've seen him
PWG.
yeah, like Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. He's been all over the place, not to mention the fact that he's jumped the border, which is something a lot of people don't give enough credit to, is because Canadian immigrants working in America is tough to come by. So to do it for 25, 30 years is hard. Entertainers visas are expensive, they're hard to keep, and every couple of years you've got to renew it and pay that $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 bill out of pocket just to keep your entertainer's visa. And this dude's trucked through the business for 30 years now. Right. Not to mention the fact that he's held titles everywhere. He did have a pretty big hiatus of about 6 years in the middle of his career where he didn't do shit though.
With that all being said, seeing what he brings to the table, and how AEW does like to utilize some of their legends of the business, you can see why this would actually be considered a miss for AEW, because PCO, I think, would have fit right in. Not necessarily being utilized the same way as Sting, but kind of introducing him to the same style of matches. These showcase matches, taking large dives.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have to with him. He could have did full-on, blown fucking hardcore matches like they do.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying is you can kind of see where he would have fit in AEW's roster. But yeah, no, it's PCO is a gnarly name up here. Okay, the last two names, which we were layups to go to AEW, because it was for one of two reasons, but for very obvious reasons they could not wind up with the company. Number two being Tessa Blanchard. Talk about getting all of the hype behind you. She is the first woman to hold Impact's top title. This woman looked like she was running out her contract and was going to make a huge splash right next to her dad, who was signed in the company at the time, Tully. And then all the controversy started to come out. I think it all stemmed literally from one tweet where she went on the internet, told women in the wrestling industry to treat each other better. And that was just the catalyst to dig up all the nasty things that she's done in the past. And for that reason, not only did she not end up in AEW, but essentially, I think that was it for her. She won a title. What was it? She was in Mexico and refused to make it back to Impact, and they had to strip her of her title there as well. And she's pretty much dropped off the face of the planet.
Right.
Although recently, what was it? She was announced to be part of WOW, right? Women of Wrestling. Will?
Yeah.
Correct. And let's talk about one thing with Tessa. This is something that I always like to throw out there. She was the first and only Impact World's Champion that was a female.
Yeah. The first and only. Okay, yeah, I said the first, but the only to this day.
She's the only female to hold the Impact World's title.
Talk about a risk they took on her, man.
I thought Jordan Grace won it too.
No,
she won the Digital Media Championship.
Oh, the digital. Okay.
Yeah, and she's currently the Knockouts champion.
Walk me through, what the hell is that Digital Media's title, by the way?
Like the Internet Championship.
It was originally made to be an intergender thing where anybody could compete, anybody could defend, and what it was supposed to be, the original concept was it was going to be defended on a internet-based television show similar to Dark and stuff. It was going to kind of be their, I don't want to say they're not a developmental title, but it was going to be like they're not on TV every week title. You know what I mean?
Kind of like what a TV title is to a pay-per-view, the internet title is to TV.
Yeah, sort of. You know, that's kind of the direction I think they were going to take it. Cardona had it. Then when Jordan Grace got it and she got all that major pop, like it stopped being what it was and started being on TV every week again. And that was the original concept behind it. It was supposed to be kind of their everyman's title. Like women can challenge men for it, men can challenge women for it.
Supposed to be like kind of like a never open weight or like an X Division title kind of.
Exactly. Thank you, Ryan. That's exactly what it was kind of their version of the X Division, but not really. But I guess they owned the X Division. It was like the 24/7 title, but without all the stupid bullshit.
Right.
Like maybe that's a good, like, I don't really know how to describe it. Like There's
No,
really
you said it right.
yeah.
It's like like another version of the X division, except it
Yeah.
included the women instead of just
yeah.
being any weight class. It made it women involved too.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, he
Is
was Bobby's just throwing shit out there about he was in a tag team with Jacques PCO. I said he was one of the Rougeaus. He was in a tag team with Jacques. Of course, Bobby would know that.
Yeah,
He's
I
like 80
pinned it
years
once
old.
Bobby mentioned it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I just saw that. I just saw it in the chat.
going back to Tessa. Is I mean, she is a physical specimen. She has a great look. Like, objectively looking at her without all the other stuff, like she does have like a great package. Is that baggage too much for her to come back from at this point?
Only because of the climate that we're in. Like honestly, if this had happened to her a year before, maybe even 6 months before, she might have been able to skate by it and lay low for a couple months and then re-debut. But with this fucking cancel culture shit and how everything is, and don't get me wrong, she deserves it. I mean, especially with her using the racial slurs and shit like that. Like, but I think she deserves it. But I mean, she been punished a long time.
Got to give the people
I just
what
don't think
they
it's hard to
want.
come back. Like, who the fuck's gonna touch her? I know AEW or WWE definitely aren't. And that's the pot at the end of the rainbow type shit. So
I'm sorry, RN. Posey Styles just cut you in line and followed SmackDown Twitch, man. Thank you so
let's
much.
do it, Posey.
Yeah.
Thank you, Posey. Could she do like a bullshit stint in rehab, sensitivity training, and have a clean act and find herself in a major promotion, say like WWE, where like WWE, it's a machine. You know what I mean? It's like you can just get a whole corporate, the corporate machine behind you and say, look, we went through all the stuff that she had to go through.
I think if they were
pull
going
her
to do
in.
it, they would have already done it by now.
I also don't want to use this as a segue to your last person on your list, Kyle, but I know it's coming up.
Yeah.
I'll steal your thunder because I'll go ahead and say their name before you have a chance.
No, go ahead, man.
The Briscoes are an example of this because I know they're coming, but they got in a lot of trouble for some stuff they used and said some really racist and insensitive things, and then they got hung out to dry on it because they were being pricks. But then if you look at how TK handled that situation, he didn't want to sign them to a full-on AEW deal. So he let them slide onto the AEW roster by signing them to a Ring of Honor deal. So he was like, I don't want to put you on TV. You said some really mean things. I'm not going to support that. But let me sign you to my B squad underneath the table.
Think the internet just went out. Yeah, that could be it. I think the stream and everything just crashed. So, to go off of what Will is saying here, if you look, what was it right here? Frozen Will, and then further on down, Frozen RN. That they were brought in. Oh God, everything is gone. The whole thing has collapsed. You're just hearing my voice. Which, if you're listening on the audio version, you didn't realize anything has just happened. But the Twitch stream and the call that we were all on just completely dropped. I feel like the internet crashed. So, what I'm going to do is just quickly wrap this up for my two co-hosts, since they can't be present. And so we'll go like here. Bang. Can we get my face up here? Yeah, the Briscoes were not canceled, but Warner Discovery, one of those entities, said they didn't want the Briscoes on there because of the backlash from previous ill behavior, some racist things that were said, I think, online. I don't know the exact context, so I don't want to speak too much on the levity of it, although it's never okay to use language like that, so let's just be honest. But yeah, we're seeing that kind of with TK now, is where you're taking somebody like who cannot arguably get on the show, and we have found a way to get them in the back door, a la Ring of Honor. I wonder if that's a possibility with Tessa. That seems like an interesting possibility that we could get from there. Let's see. Am I going to get my face on here? Yeah, there I am. Cool. Although, still can't be seen. Let's see. Here's my face. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, the stream. Oh my God, the stream is still up. You guys, I honestly thought the internet had crashed, and I was just talking to myself. But apparently, you guys are still here, which is crazy. Anyways, this has gone off the rails. This is so bad. It says the meeting's actually still in progress too. I can't get in. Oh well, it's no big deal. We were at the end of the list anyways. We're almost an hour and a half in. Actually, we are an hour and a half in. What a crazy turn of events the end of this episode had. Well, we'll see. Maybe Tessa Blanchard can get back into AEW via Ring of Honor, or in my opinion, she might find herself in WWE because they have like this big corporate machine that can put out a bunch of testimonies and this and that to help fix her image. Either way, both these wrestlers did not find themselves in AEW for these controversial reasons. Essentially, they were canceled. But yeah, that was it, man. That's the list. Let us know who you would have included on this list of people that did not make it to AEW, but were rumored to maybe show up there. If you get a chance, follow us all on Twitter. Myself at The Kai Tai Show. RN at Mr8984. Will is at _Will_Gray, Gray. You can also follow Allison, the boss bitch of Smacked Raw. She is Just a Girl 98. Let me just clarify that. I don't know why I don't have her handle memorized. Yeah, Just a Girl 918. Excuse me. And the newest member of Smacked Raw, the host of the Heel Truth podcast at Hillbilly Heel. Ted is amazing. He's our favorite redneck on the show. He's a good guy. Make sure to give them a follow. Comment like a better internet company so that maybe these problems I'm having will stop. That would be nice, just to not have to worry about my internet kicking my co-hosts off and just sabotaging the whole stream. But yeah, man, thank you guys for joining. We'll be back on Sunday, I believe 9 p.m. Eastern time for the next episode of The Rewind. It is Allison's birthday. We're going to have Allison on the show. It's going to be a fun time. I'm also bringing back UWO, which is going to be fun, Unpopular Wrestling Opinions. If you haven't seen it, we have a playlist on YouTube, youtube.com/SmackDrop Check it out. We take your hot takes. I get a whole bunch of personalities, whether they be other podcasters, wrestlers, promoters, a bunch of people in the wrestling industry, and they just kind of react to your hot takes, and it ends up being a lot of fun. We almost had a fight break out on the Putting You Over crew. We had people like threatening to walk off. It was getting really heated. It was a lot of fun. I still look back at that episode very fondly. It was a fun time. We're going to be doing that, and who knows? I had fun on the 20-second challenge. Maybe if you guys want to drink some alcohol and play a wrestling game, you can come on and do a 20-second challenge with me. It's a lot of fun. It is. I had a blast hosting it last time. Rob got decimated. That seems to be his thing. Rob comes on and just bombs on it. We'll probably not have Rob on the next episode for that reason. And get some other people. Spare his feeling. I'm just kidding. I love Rob. But yeah, thank you guys. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your evening, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
It's Bret the Hitman Hart, the best there is, best there was, and the best there ever will be. And you're listening to the Smacked Raw podcast.